go. And we are Gamer Gals a Go. I am here with my regular co-host, Kelly Marine. My name is Andy Mock. And we are here with Juan Ortiz, aka some call me Johnny, even though from his videos I believe that only your mom calls you Juan. Is that correct?
Only close relatives and business associates call me Juan. Let's keep it to John. I don't like being called Juan.
Okay, got you, Johnny.
Whatever you John wants. I mean, whatever. Oh, jeez.
Got you.
I have Juan requests. Don't call me Juan.
Wait, what did you say? What was the pun you made?
Juan request. It's a Juan request. Any request from, well, I can't say.
From Johnny, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I'm falling off the edge here like Sonic here. We're here playing the very deeply wonderful Sonic Mania. We don't need to tell you about this game or the story of how it was made, because everybody in the world knows at this point. But,
everybody in the world.
I mean, everybody in the world knows about the Sonic. Knows about
the Sonic. It's very popular. Bigger than Mickey Mouse at one point.
Yeah.
According to the highly unbiased Sega Visions magazine I subscribe to as a child.
Yeah, the short-lived Sega Visions. I've heard of that. Yeah. Johnny, did you subscribe to Sega Visions, or do you ever see it as a child?
The only thing I knew of outside of the Genesis and the Nomad in the 90s was the Sega Channel, because I would see commercials for that periodically, and I remember like bugging my parents, like, I want this, and it's like, you don't get this because we can't even afford Comcast at this point.
Yeah. They probably didn't even have it. You assume, right? Whatever this is, we can't afford it. There's no way.
Whatever, it wasn't I mean, it was a coaxial connection, and it had its time, to be fair.
Oh, for sure. Pretty amazing.
I don't think we could afford it, actually. And what was even available besides, like, Mega Man, the Wily Wars?
Yeah, it had a lot of really weird
Alien
time-limited
Storm
demos.
By Treasure. But
they would change out their selection regularly. The issue is it just wasn't available in very many cities, and it was absurdly expensive for what it was.
Yes.
Definitely ahead of its time, though. Although, I would say, if you were talking about the Sega Nomad, that was prime Sega Visions time. Just, like, really trying to sell me, specifically, and the other chumps like me, on the most unnecessary Sega hardware ever made.
Yeah.
You say that, but, you know, I always found it weird. Maybe you might remember this, but, like, a selling point they had with the Sega Game Gear was that you can take it with you everywhere. And I remember this commercial.
The giant-ass Sega Game Gear. Go on.
It was the kid on the air in an airplane.
Yeah.
Whipping out his Game Gear, and the adult next to him was playing the Genesis, but he had like a 6-mile-long extension cord.
Oh, that's good.
Like, after a while, the plane would, you know, reach high enough, the extension cord would unplug, and the guy lost his Genesis gameplay.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, the kid with the Game Gear is saying, you know, is happy because he's able to play his handheld gaming, which I always thought, this is kind of counterintuitive to you selling Genesis. You realize that, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Like, why would I want to buy Genesis now? Just buy a Game Gear. And I think they realized that later and say, oh, well, we should probably just make a handheld Genesis, and that was the Nomad. I mean, it required like 2 nuclear reactors to play, but it was fun. It was cool to see in action.
There was no form factor of Genesis that Sega would say no to. It got to the point where I was thinking about this the other day when I was looking at the box for my 32X, which has this hastily applied aftermarket sticker telling you which versions of Genesis it does and does not work with. Like, they should never have gotten themselves into that position. That just shouldn't be necessary. Yeah, and then they licensed it to Tectoy because Brazil bought 1 billion of them. But yeah, they didn't make the Genesis 3, and it was like, yeah, I don't know. I think about that era of Sega a lot, where they were fighting with themselves about their own hardware because Japan didn't want to talk to America, and America made all the money, and what a nightmare, corporate nightmare it was. But it was a really interesting time to be exactly my age and fascinated by I'm like, this Sega CD is the smallest one yet. Like,
yeah. Brazil's history with Sega is fascinating and amazing. The fact that
Wild.
You say Tectoy, I was like, I know that's the company that gave us like the Master System version of Sonic Blast.
Yeah, because they were still selling Master Systems.
Yeah.
And that was just that was the Sonic that they had. They had to bankroll it themselves because Sega wasn't going to do it.
well, apparently they would have had the Genesis totally available to them, but it was just marketed so poorly in Brazil that both children and adults, who were all huge Sega fans by that point, just didn't understand the difference between 16-8-bit and why it would be a worthwhile upgrade for probably not
they were all
that much
like,
money.
Yeah, we don't have an extension cord that long enough. You know, we can't play it on our planes. We're not interested. What else you got?
Yeah, and why you don't need blast processing? You never heard of it,
Granted, that was kind of a hard sell, even for Nintendo. I remember being a kid and playing the NES at my friend's house right after I brought my Super Nintendo over. He didn't have one yet, and I remember the mom just being completely baffled and indignant.
Oh no!
You fell for it.
I did.
Fell for one of Robotnik's tricky traps.
I always do. Yeah. Not even Eggman. I guess he's Eggman by now.
Yeah, I remember like having a really hard time trying to explain to this woman why there was a brand new system that didn't play any of the games that they had bought. Like, she understood that the graphics were better, but she was just really upset that they had obsoleted the entire library. And what's funny
upsetting?
is, well, yeah, to a degree, but like, we very nearly went to a world where backwards compatibility was taken for granted because it was sort of a last minute thing and they decided not to do it just to cut costs so they could make the price point that they wanted. Like if the manufacturing costs had shaken out even a little bit more friendly, I think it would have been backwards compatible with NES software. And then because Nintendo was so huge, it just would have been expected, right? We would live in a completely different world. That's my theory.
It's a shame. I think if they had just taken that hit and just sold the Super NES for 50 to maybe even 80 to maybe even not 100, maybe $80 more.
There's no way they would have gotten creamed. The Genesis was doing too good. That was the problem. They wanted to be the luxury big product, but
yeah, that's true.
Genesis was eating their lunch. They came out late.
Oh, they did come out late. Damn.
I mean, late for the 16-bit systems, especially if you want to count the TurboGrafx.
Oh, I didn't even think about TurboGrafx.
TurboGrafx.
They did.
I did.
I didn't learn about it until I was an adult.
I did, but I also outed myself as someone that read the Sega and memorized Sega Visions magazines. So.
Yeah. So
no, Dad, you don't understand. I want the one with the tray.
20 years from now.
Oh my god. So I'm curious. What were all of your first experiences with Sonic the Hedgehog? With,
you got
video
so
games?
lucky.
I believe I've heard on your show, Johnny, that you first saw your uncle playing it. Is that correct?
I don't have the best memories of my earliest exposure to Sonic the Hedgehog because it was around the time he was first released.
Yeah, and you were very young because
I was only like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah,
I was born in '87.
Okay, you're younger than me. Yeah.
In my youth, we did a lot of apartment hopping because that was the times back then, and we always did have a Genesis in the household though. And at one time, I remember someone bringing Sonic 1 or 2. I don't remember if it was a Blockbuster rental or something, but that's when I saw Sonic on the screen. I remember being enamored by like the speedy blue hedgehog. That looked really cool. And then that's around the time I was first exposed to him. When I first played it, I cannot tell you, but I know it was either like Sonic 1 or 2. There's Sonic right now, actually.
There you go. We've had Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 so far.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm a little older, apparently. I mean, it's funny how like a 4 or 5 year age difference is like, and it's an epoch's worth of time.
Well, in pop culture, especially
like this,
video games,
right? Because I was bang on target audience. Like I was right there from the beginning. Because my family did not care for video games very much. They just we Trojan horsed them into our house until they had to agree that it was just more work to try to stop us from having them.
Yeah.
Because all our friends did. It's that thing that happened.
Damn it. No.
But we didn't have an allowance, so we couldn't just get whatever we wanted.
Yep.
We had to really want it, and so we went for the Super Nintendo because I trusted the Nintendo brand. I would rent a Sega Genesis. That was a thing you could do. I would do that sometimes, but I always remember I had the Super Nintendo already, so the Genesis games felt a little bit, the older Genesis games are kind of like arcade ports, and they're not as fancy, right? They don't feel of a time with the Super Nintendo exactly.
Yeah.
So it was a thing I would do out of interest, but it always seemed like not as cool. But then I remember exactly when Sonic happened, because that was the first time I played one where I felt like they were really competing on the same level, like they were just firing on all cylinders. Had something that, like Altered Beast is cool or whatever in 1989, but if you know what you're doing, that game's 20 minutes long, right?
Yeah.
This felt like a whole adventure, and just the style of it was so unique. I don't think people give it enough credit for what it was going for, which is it's hand-drawn pixel art, but they're going for this 1990s CG computer art look.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like pre-rendered sprites like we would think of. I mean like early 90s computer art had a specific aesthetic, very shiny and ray-traced and primitive shapes, and like what we now think of as the vaporwave aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
Marble columns and checkerboards and all that. The fact that the palm trees are polygonal, like really low poly, that was intentional. It was to invoke CG art. That's why everything is so round and shiny. And it just was really striking. It had this almost Art Deco kind of thing going on.
Huh. Oh yeah, the lettering or the typeface is totally Art Deco.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. But the thing that really struck me was that Sonic is about physics, right?
Yes.
Like it's got cool pachinko-y, pinball-y physics that if you can get the hang of it, that's what sets it apart. You kind of have to be willing to vibe with it. If you don't vibe with it, it can be kind of annoying. But
of course.
If you do vibe with it, there's nothing like it. And if you're a kid and you think these characters are cool, there was nothing like it until suddenly everything was like it. You had Zero the kamikaze squirrel, and Arrow the acrobat.
Everything attempted to be like it, more accurately.
Yeah, but nobody really quite got there, right?
Nope,
like it
definitely
seems, even today, the fan stuff. You got to be this level of dedicated to really nail it. I think they really struck a good balance between feeling like you're out of control and going crazy and fast, and having actual control over the character and going where you want to go. It's a tight balancing act.
And nowadays, I'm like going out of control and living fast, but for more existential reasons.
Yeah, definitely, we all are.
Sonic is to blame for that.
Sonic is sometimes to blame for that. I mean, I still play it. We were joking about Sonic Forces before. Before we started recording. I did play it though. I did play it.
Oh yeah. Well, Johnny obviously did because he reviewed it.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah, that's different. I made the choice. I read all the reviews. I started playing it, and I made the choice to finish that game. That was a personal choice that I made.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I think Sonic Mania is great. That's what I No, but in all seriousness, I don't think this formula translates well to 3D. I'm really sorry to everyone that's even slightly younger than me, but even the Dreamcast games, which I think if you really like them, I'm glad you found a way to do that. There's rose-colored glasses for everyone's childhood, but I was an adult when Sonic was in 3D. I had a lifetime trying to imagine how Sonic would work in 3D.
Yeah.
And it turns out kind of doesn't, for the most part.
Yep.
Like, the best parts of it are when you don't have control, and it's just going through this set piece being launched in every direction. That looks cool, but it's not the same as controlling. I mean, a lot of people have come real close, but Sonic Forces is a weird one. I think the idea of having you play as your own OC is smart.
Yes.
But the fact that they don't have Sonic's moveset, you're like, why do you keep making a Sonic game and then making people play as people that don't do the fun Sonic stuff? They have like a gun or whatever, like a grappling hook. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like no one, when they were imagining they were one of Sonic's friends, was like, I'm one of Sonic's shitty friends that no one wants to play as. That's me.
Yeah. I have like the weak sauce Batman tool. It's like the worst grappling hook.
And it was really tonally odd too. Like Sonic gets tortured for years,
and then you find him. And he's like, all right,
no problem. Thumbs up. Very strange. Very strange choice.
my god. So I'm curious, Kelly, you said, so you know a lot more about early video game technology than I do, and video game technology in general that I do, which is very interesting and also fascinating to me. So you said that early Sonic games were influenced by ray tracing. What did early ray tracing mean?
Oh, I mean, like, early CG art, ray tracing meant roughly the same thing it means now. It's just that computers were... The idea of real-time ray tracing, that was like shorthand for what if in the future supercomputers ran in real time, right? You could have real time, because ray tracing was very computationally expensive. It just means you're bouncing simulated light and shadow off of all the objects in the scene, which means you can have a 100% accurate reflection if you want, but you have to spend time rendering all those, it has to calculate all those rays before it can render the whole scene. Real-time ray tracing works in similar ways, but it's approximated. It gives you, for instance, it'll give you a lower resolution reflection, or maybe a reflection that doesn't have all the objects in it. Otherwise, you can't hit 60 frames per second. But the fact that we can do it at all in real time right now is remarkable, but it is still extremely computationally expensive. So you'll have to take, like when you play a modern game, sometimes on a new console, it'll ask you if you want performance mode or visual mode. Where if you want the whole kit and caboodle, if you want ray tracing, you'll either have to knock the resolution down or the frame rate down considerably. And so the idea was you would try to capture the look of something that had been ray traced. It's like, so they would shade it so that it would appear to have, it was a particular aesthetic. I don't really know how to describe it, but the way that computers would render things.
It's putting more effort in making sure the environments, like I'm talking like graphical tile sets, everything from the foreground to the background, including like parallax scrolling. I know is a big thing with Sonic.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
It was all just to make the world seem believable. Like this tree graphic clearly doesn't fit with the grass of Green Hill.
Yeah.
There was effort placed into that. Well, the thing that I always go back to that I always find very impressive with Sonic 1, 2, and 3 specifically is the amount of detail they put in making sure the game looked really good on CRT. Like to this day, I will still say like the best way to visually enjoy Sonic 1, 2, and 3 is on an old school CRT because the zones get a different level of detail that you just can't appreciate on an HD monitor, ironically.
Yeah, you're right. The very first thing I do whenever I get allowed near a CRT is I get one of those a classic Sonic waterfalls going because not only are they interlaced so that they look transparent on a CRT because the CRT will kind of blend the lines, but because of the unique way that old CRTs worked, especially on like so-called bad RF connections, they would look extra rainbowy and shimmery. Like that was an intentional effect that they did. You didn't see that a lot. Trying to shade every sprite on the screen so that it had a directional light source just really makes it look rounder and fuller, and it was just really striking at the time. It's interesting that you mentioned like Sonic 3 is an interesting one because Sonic 3 was where they started to be able to actually use some pre-rendered graphics, but they would render out the Sonic sprites and then hand paint the actual sprites over it, which I thought looked a lot cleaner than a lot of other games would just render it out, and it would end up looking gritty and odd.
Yes.
And yeah, just like the Vector Man in that era of games where people are just trying to ape Donkey Kong Country. Yeah. They're a little hard to look at.
Ape Donkey Kong Country, that's a good one.
Oh, I didn't even do that on purpose!
That's pretty good. Johnny, could you do me a favor? Could you move a little closer to your mic or speak a little louder, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, that's much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
I wasn't talking to you, girl.
Oh, what? Was I talking? I didn't say anything. So the joke about Sonic Forces was that would be the most relevant Sonic to play because it's the newest, but actually this is extremely relevant in that it acknowledges any of Sonic 3, unlike Sega, until recently, because I don't know if you've been paying attention.
Yes.
They announced a new collection, and everyone's like, who cares? There's always a Sonic collection. No, this one actually has Sonic 3 and Knuckles in it, which is a big deal.
Well, here's what I'm curious about. Did they, get Simon Tomley, Taxman and Stealth, the team, to No,
Obviously, no. But the fact that they're putting their own ROM in the collection is a big step for them.
Well, here's my other question: did they keep the Michael Jackson music, or did they use?
First of all, don't get me started. I have a reverse conspiracy theory. I actually don't think Michael Jackson did anything on that game. That's my theory, and I can go into it.
Michael Jackson's collaborators' music. Put it that way.
Definitely, there was some. Yeah, it was Michael Jackson adjacent, and he was at least interested, and they probably might have. But my theory, my reverse conspiracy theory, the reason that everyone thinks it's because Michael Jackson has, like, the rights are all complicated because Michael Jackson wrote the music, and they point to the fact that the PC port has certain songs that are changed, but those songs are all the songs that used FM samples, and you can't do that in MIDI, so they just changed the music for that reason. Like, they were based around samples. They couldn't do that on the PC. That's why they changed it.
Well, I mean, those were also the original songs found in the Sonic 3 prototype.
Oh, so of course.
So they had something to fall back on.
Converted it from an earlier version.
Exactly.
And the Sonic 3 has a different soundtrack than the others. They all have music licensing problems because the guy from Dreams Come True got a little.
Yeah. Well, he was
one of the earliest to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that did contract work on video games in Japan, especially, was. That they do it for a salary and they don't get royalties, and if later, like, they don't expect 30 years from now people are going to be remaking the songs and having concerts and all. So I get where they're coming from. It's just Sega's solution to the rights being a little bit trickier for Sonic 3 and Knuckles was just, we just won't bother. Like, we already have ports of the other ones, and I'm just really excited because those games are
staggeringly wonderful.
Like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, everybody knows by now that was supposed to be one huge game.
Yes.
And when you put them together, it is one huge game with a very weird difficulty curve, but it feels like an LP, right? Like you swap it over to side B and it starts over. Like the arc of it starts over. That's how it feels. I really like Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And I'm just glad that we might have them on modern platforms, but stay tuned for my review, which will be entirely based on the input lag.
Oh yeah, well,
Sonic lives and dies on its input lag.
That's true. It's true. Yeah, I played. I did Mushrooms early 2020, and I recorded an entire Let's Play of me playing the beginning of Sonic 3, and then the entirety of Sonic 2 on the recent Sega collection on Steam, heavily using the rewind function because that collection has the worst input lag I have ever experienced in my entire life. It is embarrassing. It is beyond embarrassing. It is shameful.
Really?
It is so bad.
Which version?
The Sega collection that came, the one of 50 games that came out for Steam and Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation.
Did you play it on Steam?
I played it on Steam, yes.
I don't remember having that problem, but I also wasn't on Mushrooms. I did go to Mushroom Hill Zone, though. I did do that.
Yeah. Well, not in that version, because actually, it was in that version on Steam, yes.
I was still
Sonic and Knuckles.
That mushroom comment. I was like, did it just say it did mushrooms? Like,
yeah.
We don't have any advertisers on this show. So.
Yeah. Well, also, I was also stoned on weed. I was crossfaded.
Okay.
Crossfaded.
Yeah. It was a fun time. You can still watch it on my solo channel. Yeah.
To be fair, you didn't say they were psychoreactive mushrooms, so you just assume, that's on you.
They were. Of course they were magic mushrooms.
I'm trying to. Okay, fine.
You don't
go to jail. See what I care.
You don't do like a nice shiitake. You eat it.
Maybe you don't.
You enjoy it. It's delicious.
Heyo! Here we go. Nice job. I'm glad we found
psychoreactive mushroom is not delicious. It's disgusting.
I mean, it depends on how much fruit roll-up you put it in. But before I
Wait, I've never done that. That sounds great.
So let's talk about. Wow! Look at this. Look at this special.
In my mind, speaking of 3D Sonic, this is the only decent 3D Sonic I've ever played, and it's extremely
it's still very, very drifty.
I mean, it is, but that's fine. I mean, it's just so restrictive.
It's fine for the first 4 of them.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
That's the issue. Is you can get a Sonic control scheme that works well enough, and then you start making more and more challenges and time limits, and you find the limits of that control scheme you made, and you realize they kind of nailed it. With the 2D one.
Yeah.
Maybe Sonic 2, which is interesting because that was an American production.
Well,
There's
American
also
Japanese production. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was made largely in America by largely American staff. And
Yeah.
it's interesting. We could talk about tangent universes, parallel universes we almost went in. The real Sonic 2 team, quote unquote,
Yeah.
was hard at work making what became Sonic CD.
Oh,
For
yeah.
what should have been a popular, almost mandatory technological add-on, and instead it's like a footnote. It's very weird.
Yeah.
If that had been Sonic 2, Sonic was all about time travel. It would have been a weird... Because it played like Sonic 1. It was very much more exploration-based, and
Yes.
Sonic 2 leaned heavily into the roller coaster thing. And
Such a weird game.
it's interesting. I'm glad
Such
that
a
that's on the
soundtrack.
collection, too. People can... Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about that being on the collection. That's cool.
I am a big enough nerd about Sonic music that when I got to the section in here where they they paid homage to the both versions of the Sega CD soundtrack, which is how you know they got good composers, because they were emulating the style of two very different artists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Well, one very
I wanna
good
say-
composer, T. Lopez.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know how people sometimes point out that like Weird Al's original songs are usually stylistic pastiches of artists he really respects.
Yeah.
And from a certain perspective, it's almost more difficult to perfectly emulate a style of another artist while writing an original song and nailing their style than it is
Yes.
to just make your own music.
Definitely.
They really went above and beyond with this.
Well,
Specifically,
they meaning T. Lopez, who's the guy. Who's
What?
one person. They meaning T. Lopez, who's the one person.
T. Lopez is the single composer.
but I mean, everyone that produced the game and allowed them to do that. That's why
Oh, I
like,
got you.
spend
Excuse
the
me.
time,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
like bothering to make this a tribute to not just like the specific levels and gameplay of Sonic, but the way that the American Sega CD soundtrack sounded versus the European and Japanese Sega CD
I
soundtrack.
understand,
That's a
yes.
level of specificity that, yeah.
I got you.
Usually, yeah, Japan makes a Sonic game, they're like, Crush 40? We'll get Crush 40 again?
Yeah.
Have
And they'll
put
be
some
good.
great beats in there, and it's
They're
good,
always
it's
great.
good, but like, it's not, you know, there's always that little 9-year-old in me that just wants to be 9 again, and hear
Yeah.
the music I liked when I was 9, and go through the roller coaster zone,
Yeah.
and all that.
Mm.
I'm very interested to see a whole new group of people trying out, because trying out Sonic CD and Sonic 3 and Knuckles back to back is a really, really interesting
Oh,
experiment.
wow. Yeah, that's going to be fascinating. Wow. This boss fight at the end, Johnny, I think it was you in your review who pointed out the wild tribute of the noise, the feedback.
Oh yeah, that's the
That is
deepest cut
fascinating.
in this game.
They didn't need to do it, but
No.
they did do it. I like to know, like, that's not something you bring up in a board meeting. Like,
No.
It's
this
just
is something that they sneak in.
It's just
without
it's something you do on your own at 3
Yeah.
in the morning after the longest night of work. You're like, you know,
Yeah.
and then you go to bed
That,
happily.
that live stream sucked, and I want to give them a painful reminder every time they play.
Yeah, then you
Yeah, but
dream
it's only-
the sleep of the just.
Only other people that would care to that level would even recognize that noise for what it is.
Exactly.
It's so good.
I didn't. I had to be pointed out to me. It's like, first off, you're a real nerd, and secondly, that's hilarious.
And I am now equally nerdy, for now
Yeah.
I know the trivia and
Yeah.
will tell it to people.
And I recognized immediately as soon as you pointed it out. So it was the real nerd.
For those that don't know and want to be as cool as us, when you beat that boss, the video monitor in the background gets to like a test pattern, and it plays a little hum of audio problem.
Feedback,
Just a
yeah.
little hum, little bit of audio feedback. And it is taken from an infamous Sonic live stream where that feedback was present for the entire thing.
Oh
just
my god, the
driving
whole
everyone.
thing? I didn't know that.
The
I never
entire
saw it.
thing. Just driving everyone. This is
Terrible.
my memory.
When was it?
Yeah, and just the chat.
Like some
they were
some
announcing new
anniversary?
Sonic games, and I don't remember which one it was, but they were announcing new Sonic games or whatever. Just so excited, and the chat was just exploding with rage. Just like, somebody please.
Oh my god. I'm sure they were announcing like the terrible Sonic courses in the Divine Sonic Mania.
I mean, we didn't know it was going to be terrible, right? Like, that's just how the Sonic cycle works.
You all could have assumed. Everybody could have reasonably assumed.
It was a safe bet, but, like, you know, we had no reason to think Sonic Generations would be good, and that game was good.
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
Conceptually, it was pretty bankrupt, but the game was good.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, that you don't ever know until you play it. I love that. When I found out about that, I was like, yeah, the wild, really, I mean, they know their audience, right? But, like, the idea that I would finally get to see Sonic and a slightly skinnier Sonic interact, like, it was so, like, wow, finally.
Yeah,
for the first time ever.
And that bit, I think it's been made fun of. I can't remember by whom, which YouTuber made fun of it. Where Tails is, like, traumatized and he's being attacked by a bunch of villains in Sonic Forces, and he's saved by Sonic, and he's like, oh my god, Sonic, I'm so happy to see you, and he turns around and he's like, huh? Oh, that makes sense. It's like, no it doesn't, bro. It doesn't at all, bro.
I mean, to Tails, I don't know. He's probably made a time machine.
I mean, it's true if he did. Yeah,
he's pretty smart.
Classic Sonic wasn't real in Forces. That's my perverse theory.
What's that?
Oh, explain this, please.
Oh yeah, I'd love
to.
So
a big thing about Sonic Forces is the Phantom Ruby, and how it can.
Oh, sorry. Can you speak a little louder again? Sorry.
Okay, a big thing about the Sonic Forces. Oh, good lord, what am I saying?
Sonic Forces
is the Phantom Ruby, right? And a big thing about the Phantom Ruby, is that it can produce illusions.
Oh.
Okay.
I like to think.
I didn't know. Oh, of course it can.
In Tails' dire need, in his dire hour, because forget all that development he had in Adventure 1 and 2. He called out to Sonic, and that's when Classic Sonic showed up.
Oh no, that's so sad.
I mean, it's crackheaded.
Really sad.
It's fine. That's the fun part, right? It's like
not really sad. It's actually kind of sweet now that you think about it.
Everybody was yelling at Nintendo for an official Zelda timeline, and then they said fine, and they made one, and then everybody realized they don't want that. What they want is arguing about it with their friends forever until the end of time. Try to take a thing that inherently doesn't make sense, made of 74 different corporate products, and putting it into one timeline that explains things like where in reality they were just like, well, we ran out of time and budget, and so the character was completely cut from the game. But the fans were like, no, they were in Robotnik's dungeon, as you can see. Archie comics that I have that also wasn't part of the lore until it was.
Written by fucking Ken Penders, that monster of a man.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar.
Oh, I'm sure you are, but you're.
Am I?
Ken Penders?
I'm not.
Oh,
I don't know the name. I'm always scared but excited to have you give me the cliff notes of some terrible comic book man. But
oh no, Johnny, would you like?
Usually you're not this hesitant, so maybe I don't want to know.
Johnny, would you like to do the
lighted honors? Don't lump me in with you.
Wow, okay.
I don't want to talk about him.
That's fine. We don't need to.
We don't care about him.
Yeah, I don't actually have a need to know this name in my life. I am about to turn 40, and I don't need somebody that I believe used to work on a Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, Archie Comics, to take up space in my brain. The fact that I can tell you anything about these comics, which I have not read, is shocking, frankly. That's an indictment of the way I've lived my life, almost.
Well, I'll tell you the short and comedic version. I won't tell you about his horrible pervert comics, Sonic comics, official ones. He wrote hundreds upon hundreds of Sonic the Hedgehog comic books, including the extensive Echidna saga. I read up to about 50, and the first Knuckles. I had a subscription as a child.
This is just what I sound like to other people, isn't it? You just say shit like the extensive Echidna saga. And I'm just like, just imagine what you mean.
Well, I don't know. We have similar but different special interests, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
wow.
Anyway.
One of these days I'm gonna figure out how to get that ring.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's also fine if I don't, you're right.
It truly is. Anyway, the funny thing about Ken Penders is that so he invented way too many characters while he worked on Sonic Comics at Archie.
Back when that used to be a thing you could say was bad for Sonic, and not just the corporate standard state of operation.
Well, I mean, the IDW comics are pretty decent. Much better. Far more appropriate. Like a million times more appropriate. Anyway, better drawn, of course.
Appropriate? You mean age appropriate?
Oh, yeah, just appropriate for the character. Oh my god.
Ah, okay.
Bender's a creep. A massive creep. Anyway, yeah, anyway, so after he got fired, for good reason, he, or maybe it was just after the property got sold to IDW, he decided he'd take the characters that mostly the echidnas that he created for the comics, and was like, well, they're my characters, I'll just use them for my own comic books.
Is that how that works, though? That's not usually how the comic
No,
industry
it most certainly
works.
is not.
Okay,
it most
got it.
certainly
Yeah.
is not. And here's where the comedy comes in. And so he was given a cease and desist by Archie and I'm sure Sega, and then sued. And normally I'm not pro work for hire, but in the case of him and the horrible man that is Doug TenNapel, sometimes it's good. In very, very rare cases, it leads to hilarious outcomes.
Did he do that thing that sometimes makes me laugh, where he just keeps trying to file the serial numbers off until
exactly.
until they're legally distinct, but
pretty much.
very obviously what they're supposed to be.
Much, yeah, he's like a 50-year-old fan fiction writer, essentially. Yeah.
I liked it when Mark Laidlaw no longer worked at, I think it was Mark Laidlaw, no longer worked at Valve, and he finally released what was meant to be the continuing story of Half-Life, as it was when he worked on it.
Oh no. Is he like a head writer, or just like a...
Oh yeah, he was head writer, I think.
Okay.
He was definitely head writer on Port. He was very, very involved, I'm saying, in what must have been like 5 different attempts to make a Half-Life 3.
Okay.
And continue the story of the episodes. And he clearly did this cheekily and with the knowing that they're not going to sue him or anything. But he released what was, by all appearances, fan fiction, where he changed the names and he gender swapped all the characters, but it was just like, here's what was going to happen in Half-Life 3. But I love that he just published it like weird fan fiction at a random time, just saying like, they're never going to make this game, it's fine, here's what would have happened, this is how that game would have gone. But just changing all the names and gender swapping everybody, which I think is a fun,
that's great.
Fun solution.
That's great. Was it like a comic book or a prose story?
No, it was just like it. Like I believe he posted it on a fan fiction forum, or just on his blog. Or
that's
something
wonderful.
One day,
Best solution. Wow.
I'm impressed with how long you held on to that lightning shield.
Thank you. I'm also impressed. All little sleepy tails.
I didn't play his Tails too often, but he kind of seems like an assist mode on half of these bosses.
He truly is. He's the best character.
Right.
He was always designed as an easy mode.
Oh yeah,
like,
you got
Sonic 3.
A 2,000 point cool bonus.
Oh well, that's me, baby.
Oh, you're playing the new one. I'm so glad they added all these little transitions.
No, it's great. Fix the main
good.
problem with the game.
That was your main issue with the game?
No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was wasn't it? It was either your main problem with the game, or I think it was Gerard the Completionist.
Oh no.
I think no, not yours. Johnny's. Maybe it was Gerard the Completionist's main problem with the game.
It's also a problem. It was a quirk that I found odd, that zones didn't really transition to one another naturally like it did in Sonic 3.
A couple of them did.
That was the Completionist.
Yeah, a couple of them did, but a lot didn't, and it felt very haphazard, like something wasn't finished here before.
It felt like what it was, which is they had a deadline.
Yeah.
And knew they'd be able to patch it and put out a DLC.
And they did. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my main problem with the game is I don't like Blue Sphere as much as this game likes Blue
I don't
Sphere.
like it either.
I'm okay with it.
I feel so alone.
It's fine. It's fine. No, I mean, you know what? The real issue is that I hyper focused on things when I was a child. I, by the way, might have been one of the first actual American children to discover the extra Blue Sphere levels that were hidden in Sonic & Knuckles.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure that the magazines were tipped off, but We hadn't heard nobody had heard anything about it. I got that game on release day, and I figured that out on release day because I'm that kind of kid.
That's great.
I mean, it didn't take a lot of figuring out. All you had to be was curious enough to plug something that wasn't Sonic into it and hit all the buttons to see if something would happen. But yeah, I remember writing into Electronic Gaming Monthly like, they're gonna print my letter. I figured it out. Of course, 1,000 other children also figured it out. But but in terms of the schoolyard, I was the hero. I had discovered the super trick, and we were all convinced that if you completed all of them, something amazing would happen. And of course, it's just, we know the truth. There's just an infinite number of procedurally generated Blue Sphere levels that you can play if you want to, and I sure gave it my all, and I just don't need to play Blue Sphere anymore. It's fine. The real issue, this isn't the game's fault. You're clearly welcome, as I can see you do, to not jump in there and not do that if you don't want to. If you get in there and you don't want to get the blue spheres, you get a red sphere. Problem solved.
Oh, thank God.
But yeah, it's not the game's fault that I literally have OCD.
Yeah.
You give me a shiny thing, I'm gonna want to touch it.
My main issues with the game, they're minor. There's 3 of them.
3.
One,
let's hear it.
Number 1, I don't love the aesthetics of Starlight. Is it the Sonic CD zone? Starlight Zone?
Stardust
Zone. Stardust Zone.
Stardust Speedway.
Stardust Speedway Act 1. I don't love that
Stardust
green.
Speedway Act 1 specifically?
Yeah, the green. I don't love that green in that context.
You don't love... Wow, okay.
I love the green in the terms of, cannabis and grass and trees, but, not in that zone, particularly. Anyway.
But that's the good feat. Okay.
Anyway.
Right. You're allowed to have that opinion.
I know. Anyway.
But if that's number 3 on your list of beefs with this game, this must be a pretty good game.
It's a great game. We all know it. Anyway. Number 2, last zone, way too long.
Way too long.
Way too long and way too labyrinthine.
Which is extremely Sonic the Hedgehog, but also, like, you took all the things that were annoying about the classic games and you filed those away. I don't know why you needed to do... Like, I should never get a time over in a Sonic the Hedgehog level.
No!
That just shouldn't happen.
It's irritating.
That should never be what you're worried about, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog music is great. I don't necessarily want a 20-minute loop of any one song from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Definitely. Speaking of time limits, I found that in this, in at least this new edition, you can turn off the time limit. It's wonderful.
Yeah, but that doesn't help me if I'm still getting lost in your maze level where the structure is only apparent after you've finished it.
I know. I'm with you, girl. Anyway, my last and final problem with the game is, as we discussed before, the special stages get way too hard, and I'll never ever become Super Sonic or Super Tails or Hyper Knuckles, and that's the whole
but isn't that true for pretty much all of them? Have you ever legitimately acquired
never once.
Super Sonic? Yeah.
I never will.
It's always that last couple. They're just really, really demanding.
I mean, I might in Sonic 2 with the rewind function.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
I mean, oh, come on.
I mean, it counts for doing it for fun, but I'm saying...
That's all I'm counting. That's all I'm talking about.
Rehabilitating the special stages as a requirement for, in my opinion, the special stages, they should never be key to... Like, you should be good at the game part to get the reward, right? Yeah. Like, what if you just found the Chaos Emeralds?
Oh.
And the special stages give
you
point bonuses.
How wonderful that would be.
So you're literally just describing Sonic 1 and 2 in the Game Gear.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I am. And you know what? Those games don't get enough play. Especially the Master System versions where you can see enough of the screen.
It's true.
That's not as big an issue.
Also
great music. Yeah. Yuzo Koshiro music.
Yeah, wow, yeah, of course.
Accidental Janet Jackson music.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So speaking of time limits.
Oh, yes. We're up on ours, considering you said you had a lot to do tonight, Johnny.
Yes,
and I do as well.
It's funny to go back into something you were saying real quick, just to wrap that up. I'm surprised, so I'm assuming you didn't mind,
Annie,
the fundamental,
you can't choose this one.
The fundamental issue I have with Sonic Mania was that its lack of originality, like how the best zones. There's only 4.
I remember.
Well, that's because Sega, that's the Sega influence. they did as much as they could get away with. Sega, I'm sure, just wanted them to put out a best of 60 FPS widescreen thing and call it a day. And they wanted to make their own zones. And that's actually, you want to talk about Sonic conspiracy theories, why it is that they haven't been hired to immediately make a sequel to one of their most popular Sonic games ever, is because it's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing to the people that are making the big budget Sonic games. That this is the one everybody liked. Yeah. But the other thing is that, like, everybody called out all the stuff that the weird American hackers added to it as the best parts of the game. When, you know, corporate just wants them to make a million Green Hill zones over and over again. And that's just...
So you think it's like the
I think it's a corporate saving.
The rift between Sega of Japan and America again?
Yeah, this was supposed to be like a shut them up for a while stopgap measure.
Oh, obviously, yes.
And that is not how it shook out, and I don't think they were happy about that.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Because if they were a corporation that make decisions that made sense based on what sold, they would have made it Sonic Mania 2 and 3 by now.
Nothing has changed since Sonic 2, back in 1992.
I mean, one could say that very little has changed in the world of the Japanese game industry, but I just know too much. A lot of people, go, get him! Don't worry, Annie. I also have not enough patience for this boss, usually.
It's kind of annoying.
But
I got you. Anyway.
Because of the format of our show, it would be really satisfying to see you beat this boss.
I think I can. I think I can do it.
I'll just have to not distract you.
Believe
there you go.
Did it.
So, hey.
Did it. Anyway.
Ryan.
So, considering that we are at 45, Johnny, people can find you on your wonderful YouTube channel, Some Call Me Johnny. And on Twitter, at Some Call Me John, spelled confusing like John Arbuckle from Garfield. Like,
there's a reason.
I know, because there's some Call Me Johnny on Twitter, right?
There's someone else that has the handle Some Call Me John spelled John. That's the one I wanted, but it was taken, and I can't do anything about that.
That's heartbreaking.
Okay.
I'm John Arbuckle now.
You should sue. Oh my
God. Who knew that John was such a common name?
Mondays.
Get out of here.
Oh my god. Oh my god. And you have Patreon now? How's that going?
No, I don't have a Patreon.
What?
I do not have a Patreon. Nope, not a Patreon.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. Oh, you're talking about maybe making one.
Maybe later down the road, but not now.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, interesting. No. Okay, interesting. Is there anywhere else? And then you're on Twitch, right?
Yes, same handle. Some Call Me Johnny.
Of course. Anywhere else?
No, not really.
Instagram,
that's all you can really find me. Yeah. No, I don't have Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I don't have nothing of those.
Oh, that's great. Wow, that's great. I'm all for people using as little of the internet as humanly possible, particularly social media. The devil place that is social media. And Kelly, we can find you at KellyGoRound on Twitter and Instagram and nowhere else.
Please stop pimping my Instagram. I don't use it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, no, you can. I just embarrass. If you want to see a lot of embarrassing pictures of me that I do about... yeah, I'm cute about twice a year on Instagram. When I feel bad for not using it and then remember why I don't use it.
Anyway,
maybe you'll get a happy birthday selfie.
Okay, anyway.
We'll see.
You'd find Kelly on Twitter and nowhere else.
Pretty much.
Except here on Gamer Gals or Go.
That's right.
Every week on Tuesdays, our new time slot Tuesday nights.
Did you say nude?
Nude time slot. We're always reporting nude.
Now we're talking.
Live nude gamer gals are go.
The broken neon lights.
Yeah, like the neon lights that all the Twitch streamers use. They're just like busted. It's like doing like a horrible strobe. Oh my god, horrible epilepsy triggering strobe. Yes, our new time slot Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. and 5 Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. And me, you can find me, Andy Mock, cartoonist, musician, writer, artist, and sometime filmmaker, at Hey Andy Mock on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can become a member of Gamer Gals to Go at my Coffee. We go through this every week, each and every week.
Say it with me, Annie. Coffee, ko-fi.com.
Oh my god, there we go. /Handy Mock.
I believe in you.
$5 or more. Thank you, girl. For $5 or more, losing my voice at this point. $5 or more, you can become a member and get exclusive episodes of Gamer Gal Is Go, my offshoot show co-starring my high school bestie, Jesse Swanson, who works at Chicago's...
It's a very high-concept show.
Yes.
But it's good.
Thanks, I like it too.
You can vouch for it.
Thank you.
Hey, it's the Shinobi boss!
Oh, no, I love this boss. He's the best.
You know how you know this game is... Annie likes this game a lot, is that she's actually continuing to play it during the outro sequence.
I know, it's great.
Which is possibly detrimental to the outro sequence, but it's great for content and for me thinking about how cool Revenge of Shinobi is.
Oh, such a great game. Anyway, on Gamer Gal Is Go, that's me and Jesse Swanson of Chicago's infamous, I was gonna say infamous, but it's not
infamous.
Second City.
I mean, depends on who you ask.
There's comedy place.
Land the plane, Annie, land the plane.
Land the plane, land the plane, land the plane. We tend to play Star Wars games. And at my coffee, you can also find my commissions, which are $35 and up only. And also you can find free or pay what you can music from my bands, and also you can find free or pay what you can comic books, hundreds of pages, including my last thing I'm saying, and then we're done. Then we're done for the day, done for the night. My comic book and essays collection, Lock On Memories, zine about video games, which is
also a Sonic reference.
Yes, it is. It is. Has 3 Sonic comics in it.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah. Anyway, you shouldn't have. It's a new version of
TLDR. Just go give Annie money for being creative. There's not enough of them in the world.
Thank you. You're interrupting me, which is making me go longer. It's a newer version of Annie Mock Loves Video Games.
Trying to pump the brakes.
Well, you failed. Which is my self-published book that I gave Johnny when I met him at Too Many Games, the quote-unquote Philadelphia Game Fest, some years ago. That's all. I'm done, I promise.
So glad I don't have to transcribe this anymore. I love you. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, Johnny.
No problem. No problem. I was wondering, how long is this wrap up gonna go?
We're almost an hour. It's our longest episode ever.
3, 2, 1.
Good night. Bye. 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 Okay, bye.